Welcome to the Freight Flak Pack. It's Termex here, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 build video. And I am super excited to be showing you guys my Hemo Hunter Raid Boss Flak build. Yes, I have been grinding Borderlands pretty religiously since this update came out to try to find a good build for you guys, and I basically found a build that's kind of already been meta, but I've made some few tweaks with it alongside with some other types of gear. Now, I do want to give credit to where credit is due. Now, if you ever heard of a rack stab flak build, basically where you use the Stinger shield with the on action skill start anoints. But if you want to talk about the core mechanics of this build, which is rack stab flak, I gotta give full credit to Quag. I'll have a link to his channel and his Twitch in the description below. Really solid guy. He knows a lot about flak, so you know, us here at the Flak Pack can respect that. I just kind of built off of this build, made it my own personal touch. We are sacrificing some survivability with it, but then again, we're flak. We don't really need survivability if everything's dead. So you can do basically anything in the game with this build, and all you really have to do is run around pressing a button. I know, it's very skillful, right? But there is some skill within this build because we don't really have any good ways of healing with this build other than if we're using a certain combo, which I will get into. Now, if you're on PC, you do get the privilege of downloading my save file, so all you have to do is go into the description down below and you will have everything that you see in today's video. But let's go over Stalker Tree first. I only went far enough to get Lick the Wounds as a form of survivability. Over into the Master Skill Tree, we do have a nice setup that helps us get our Frenzy stacks for extra damage. Now, people arguing that Frenzy isn't useful on a melee build, it's been debunked. I've actually tested it myself. The damage from Frenzy is not weapon damage, it is just pure V1 damage, so it's going to be benefiting our melee. We did also get Pack Tactics, so we can get even more damage alongside Shared Spirit, so it just makes us a little bit more tankier. Over into the Hunter skill tree, we do have a lot of points into Interplanetary Stalker. Now, we do have a bunch of points into this skill, and that's because every time we get a stack, we get 18% extra raw damage, which is going to help out tremendously. And we did get Megavore because even though this is a melee kind of build, we are still going to be using guns at the same time. It's kind of a hybrid melee gun build, but we still want to hit crits, we still want to proc head count, and we still want to get our action skill back very, very quickly. And our last 2 points are thrown into agility training, just so we get a little bit better reload speed. It is completely up to you if you want to put these 2 points elsewhere. You could even put it into Who Rescued Who if you want a little bit more survivability. Or you can pop it all the way and put 2 more points into Grim Harvest, so you guys can fill that out and get more damage out of your racks. And another thing I want to talk about is how come I didn't get the Great Horn Skag, even though I spec'd into Barbaric Yop. And that's because the gun damage on Great Horn Skag is nice, but we're going to be doing mainly most of our damage from Novas in melee, and we're not getting that 30% damage most of the time. And that 15% damage doesn't really make up for that fact, because if we go over to the Spider and Scorcher, we're getting survivability with the health regeneration, and we're getting a flat out 30% elemental damage, which is what we're going to be doing all the time. And now I do want to point out that all my builds and all footage you see of any of the builds on my channel are done without any Guardian rank perks, buffs, or stats. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. That's how I test my builds to make sure that the build actually works. So if you have Guardian rank enabled with all this fancy stuff, you're going to be doing way more damage than I'm doing in these videos. Now over into the fun stuff. Let's go into the gear really quickly. Now, we do have a classic rack stab setup, but for you guys that don't know what rack stab is, or you've never really used melee builds on flak, basically rack stab is going to be proccing every time we use rack attack the Stinger shield. The Stinger shield is a Nova shield that releases a Nova based on your melee damage. And this is a good thing, because melee scales with Mayhem, and, well, Mayhem scaling is pretty broken when it comes to most things. And this build is amazing, and probably one of my favorite ways to play flak. Now, specifically, you do want a Stinger with an on-action skill start anoint, so when our action skill starts, we get that melee Nova basically on command. And now you will see an elemental Nova around my character based on the elements I have equipped. And for this build, I do have 3 different shields included. I have a corrosive, I have a fire, and I have a shock. I couldn't get my hands on a radiation one, unfortunately, or a cryo one. They're really hard to come by, and I'm not a big fan of using save editors for my builds, so I just threw in the only 3 that I had. And they all do have the action skill start anoints. They all don't have the same roles. Some of them have different roles, except for this fire one. This is actually identical to the shock one. And now our Paragrind class mod does have 63% extra melee damage, which is going to basically benefit every single little thing that you've seen within this build today. And on top of that, the greatest thing about all of this is we get to actually stack melee damage from our relic and our class mod. So we're getting over 100% extra melee damage just from these two pieces of gear alone. If you don't want to get the Paragrind and it's really just not your style, Rat Commander is a great second option. Now the Rat Commander will give us an extra charge of rack attack, which means we can proc our Nova more often. And on top of this, it has 5 points over into Eager to Impress. So when you get a kill, this cooldown for Flak himself is almost 2 seconds back per kill. And if you're killing a horde of 5 enemies, you're going to get your rack attack charges back in a snap. It's going to be very, very quick. But me personally, I do like the Paragrind's effects. I do like the fact that the grenades spawn and it doesn't consume a grenade yourself. And as for our grenade, we do have a fish slap. Now I have 2 different fish slaps for 2 different purposes here. The mass acceleration fish slap is more of a CC max damage kind of fish slap because it does have the singularity effect alongside the link effect. The link effect is basically going to give more damage for each enemy that is damaged. So especially in a horde or a big boss, you're going to be stacking a lot of damage. Now the alternating fish slap is a little bit different. This just is more of a healing type of fish slap. I use these both for different situations, but when it comes down to it, if you want more damage, I use the max acceleration fish slap. Now as for the weapons themselves, we do have 3 main guns that you've been probably very familiar with in your time of playing Borderlands, but the first one might interest you. It is the Psycho Stabber. Now this weapon has the highest melee damage of any weapon in the game, and when we hold this weapon, our Nova will take effect of this, and the Nova will also take effect of the 300% 90 anoints. And on top of that, when we are using the White Elephant, which has the melee attacks have a 30% chance to attach a sticky, that sticky also gets the 390 benefits, which is actually really, really nice. So you're going to be holding this 99% of the time, but when it comes down to healing, you're going to be wanting to use a Face Puncher because you're going to be able to shoot it, proc more of those White Elephants, and get your healing up. Now the Monarch is more of your flyers slash things you can't hit on the ground, because if you'll see in the footage I have on screen right now, Hermie likes to fly. I mean hermivorous. I get that in my head. Hermivorous, vermivorous. Okay, yeah, I got it, okay? When Hermivorous is flying, you can't really hit him. The rack attack hits him, but the grenades, fish slaps don't proc, and the face puncher alone isn't really enough damage to kill him. So the Monarch is what I used. If you see here, I do actually switch to a fadeaway stack bot. I have that included in the save file if you really want to quickly take care of the flying enemies, along with the Pearl of Knowledge for even more damage. But that's really the only reason it's there. There's no other reason the Monarch should be in the build. It kind of sucks that we don't have a form of aerial melee. I know that sounds dumb to say, but it would be cool if we did. But I already told you all about the life drain. Let's go over and talk about the Unleash the Dragon. Now this relic is something that I personally really like, just due to the fact that you do insane amount of fire damage with this relic. You have a guaranteed ignite chance on enemies, and of course it gets a 390 proc along with the bonus melee damage from the Psycho Stabber. But the downfall of this is that we are not getting any healing whatsoever, so Unleash the Dragon is more of a bossing item, when the Knife Drain White Elephant is more of a mobbing utility healing tool. Now we are in our pretty place, Athenas. I don't really want to show spoilers with the new content. I don't want to spoil every single thing, so I'm going to keep it to Athenas. Even though this build could handle way more than Athenas, as you've seen in the intro, I just don't want to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't done the Murder Mystery side quest or any of that kind of stuff. I just want to show how this build performs and let you guys test it yourselves so you guys can have the fun, not just watching me have the fun. So first, let's show off the Knife Drain White Elephant. How you're going to run this. I would run it with a face puncher, use your rack attack, and make sure you shoot the face puncher because you need to get your healing up. As you can see, you have to keep the healing up. You're going to be really squishy in Mayhem 11, especially with Flak, and if you just spam your racks, they're going to do the damage for you. Now when you're down, you do want to use your face puncher because obviously that's going to be the only way you can get up, which I find kind of annoying. It's It's okay though, because you do get the white elephant procs, and those stickies do a crap ton of damage. But I will tell you, the number of things that you could one-shot with this build will honestly surprise you. The only thing I haven't been able to one-shot is Grave Ward, just because the way he's positioned is really weird, and I can only really get one rack stab off of him before he moves out of the way. And the face puncher doesn't really do as much damage as it used to, unfortunately. But that's really the only boss I've found difficulties with one-shotting, just because of that mechanic. And your range is limited with this build. You're not going to be 100% perfect with it. You have to be able to get close to enemies, and you have to have some form of accuracy. You can't just hop in here guns blazing hoping that your plasma coil one burst everything. But yes guys, this is how I personally like to play rack stab in my own variation of it. Now a lot of people are going to say that this is just an old build, but really all the new weapons and stuff didn't really provide us with new builds as of yet. All these weapons over here that I've received do not have any anointments, and it's kind of hard to make a build with weapons that can't get anointments yet. But I'm going to try my best to find some more unique stuff for you guys. A lot of people are going to say this is a carbon copy build, but hey, I can't watch every single FL4K build video on YouTube and hope that I'm not copying a person. I give credit to Quag. He came up with the original concept of rack stab. He'll be in the description below. Make sure you guys check him out. But anyway guys, I hope you guys have a terrific day. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new and you want to join the FL4K Pack, and hit that bell so you never miss another post from me again. And join that FL4K Pack Discord if you want to stay connected with me. Hope you guys have a terrific day, and I'll see you guys later.